Hello everyone, today I wanted to make this video where I am planning my English language arts curriculum plan for the upcoming school year for my soon-to-be second grader and first grader. So I thought it would be fun to kind of brainstorm and share like my process for choosing the curriculum that I have chosen so far. So something that I was told on my first year of homeschooling is that usually when you choose a curriculum book, they have taken into account all the things that your child is supposed to learn. And so you might not necessarily have to go through your state standards to figure out, all the things that your child needs to learn. But for me, I remember being in college and I remember taking some classes where they had us plan our lessons using the California standards, and they really, California's where my family lives. So they really made that seem like something that's really important, that your child needs to know all of the things that are on your state's standards, and you're supposed to plan it out like on a piece of paper, or I guess they're doing it on computer or whatever, but you're supposed to make sure that you are teaching each of those standards by the end of the school year. So on my first year of homeschooling, I found it a little overwhelming just trying to figure out like the wording of some of those standards, and just trying to figure out how do you plan to space all of that out. And so I feel like the second year has been a little easier to like wrap my mind around the concept and how you can plan that out in your own particular style of homeschooling. So the first thing that I decided to do before like I decided what curriculum I wanted my kids to follow for English language arts this coming year, I went to corestandards.org. I just Googled it. I Googled California state standards, and like you could put first grade or second grade, and so there's a couple of websites. Some websites already have it like in a chart format where you could just print that out. They have it in all of the grades, and so you just look up your grade and you'll see that chart there. So I decided this year that I was going to make it more of instead of just writing, okay, this standard I'm going to complete it on this day or on this week. I had actually read on another book, which I think it probably was this book or one of these books. This is Core Knowledge, and you could read about them in their website, but they have an introduction where they mentioned that the goal is not, actually, I wonder if it was on this book or if it was on another website where I was listening to some educator talking about the standards. Sorry, I'm not sure I remember quite yet, but I'm sure that they would agree that it's not so much a checklist where you're just supposed to say, okay, I taught them, I did this on one class, I did this on another day, and you're just checking it off, and once you finish, all your check marks, then you don't have to worry about it and you could just like freestyle it for the rest of the school year. They said you're actually supposed to be having these standards in mind throughout the whole school year. So I thought, okay, if we're supposed to be using them throughout the school year, then I want to have them like at hand, and what better place to do that but like to tape it on the book where we'll be using. For example, this book is the one that I'm using for my kindergartner and for my and I used the first grade one. This one for my first grader, but I actually like rotate it. So I start on the section, for example, the poetry section. We start on the kindergarten one, and then we continue on to the first grade. So they're getting kind of like both. If we don't complete the first grade one, I would just kind of carry it on to the next because my son is going to be in first grade. So, but if we do manage to complete it this year, then I would just have them both be on the second grade book, and then I would have to rotate like that. This is just how it's kind of worked out so far. Depending on the website, I guess they'll break it down differently. But just to give you an idea, you have different things that your child has to learn throughout the school year. That's all under, English language arts. So the section that I first started to focus on is the reading. And reading is broken down into 3 parts, which is literature, informational text, and foundational skills. And I decided to like copy paste it and make it in a format where it would just be easier for me to have it at hand. I'll show you this one, which I haven't taped just yet. You can see I had it divided into some parts, and so I just copy pasted it, and I took off like the numbers or all the stuff that I didn't really need. And so, for example, it's worked out really well when I am reading a story from this book, and after we're done reading the story, I go here to the front of my book where I taped these specific, because like I said, there are 3 different sections for reading. So the section that we're on, it's just like reading literature. So those are the standards where that correspond to those stories. So I go to that section and I just walk through all of those things that they want us to like make sure that the children know. For example, it says ask and answer questions about key details in a text. So I just kind of tell them, I ask them questions and I try to think of like an answer where you would need to respond like with a detail. And there's another thing where it says retell stories including key details and demonstrate understanding of their central message or lesson. So I tell them, okay, let's break it up. Tell me what happened in the beginning, the middle, and the ending. And also talks about describe character, settings, and major events. Later on, it talks about other things like feelings and does it remind you of other stories, and you also look at the illustrations and you talk about more details, and you compare and contrast adventures and experiences of characters in other stories. So we've been doing it, just going through it like that. At first it might feel like a lot, but little by little you'll remember the questions, the things that you're supposed to go over with your child, and you'll be able to say it in an easier way. And it'll become a normal thing. So that has been helpful. We haven't reached the part of the book just yet where the other section of the reading standards corresponds, which will be the informational text. And I put it towards the back because that's where that informational text will be. So it has different kinds of questions. Because informational text is more like just you're reading something that is giving you information about something, right? So it also has things like ask and answer questions about key details. But then you have things like describe the connection between two individuals, events, ideas. So it's something that I haven't necessarily gone through with my kids, but this will help me to make sure that they are learning those things. And I just like to be able to know what the standards are, and if I have a curriculum, I can see, oh, okay, they are meeting those things that are required. Or if it wasn't included in a curriculum, then I might want to just add the things that are not included, that they're not doing. I do notice that there are some curriculum that does ask those questions. Like, for example, Wordwisely, or I forget if that's the right way you say it. This is another curriculum we're going to be using. Wordwise. See, I got it wrong probably, huh? So this definitely follows those standards. It goes over words. It asks. It gives you. It tells you. It prompts you to ask them questions. This kind of questions. What else? Yeah, I guess like I really like this curriculum because my kids enjoy it, and I feel like I want a curriculum that will encourage my kids to think critically about what they're hearing, and I feel like this curriculum does that, and it has fun activities, and it really helps with like listening and following directions. So I like this curriculum, and we plan on including it. I feel like it fits well under the reading, like literature, because it's more so reading stories that are entertaining to little children. And these are the books for my kids. We're going to try to complete this much sooner than like probably half the school year. We'll try to complete this so that we have the second half of the school year where we can do the second grade, so that it's, you know, a combination of my first grader and my second grader. I feel like it's good review for my daughter, going over things that are like kindergarten, for example, the book we're reading, but it's also like when we do my daughter's level, it's good for my son because he's being challenged, you know, and he's able to keep up because we went through his level already. So that's I've shown all the things that come with this curriculum on another video. I'll link that video in the description if you'd like to see this more in detail. So I talked about reading literature and reading informational texts. It doesn't just necessarily have to be, oh, so I have this one already. I have it for the second grader. So yeah, we'll be going through this also. And if we get to the point where we want to do a unit study, and we can just like buy some informational type of books and do like a research project or things like that, we'll use those standards that apply to the informational text. So let me just read a little bit about the other the last component of reading, foundational skills. So it's broken down into like print concepts, phonological awareness, phonics and word recognition, fluency. And so this is more like for example, let's see, for kindergarten, let's just talk about the easiest ones, right? For kindergarten, your child needs to follow words from left to right, top to bottom, and page by page. So a lot of these standards are not necessarily really intimidating. It's just it's just very wordy, but obviously, like, oh, I'm already teaching that to my child, right? Let's move on to the next. So you have to demonstrate understanding of spoken words, syllables, and sounds. Phonemes. Phonemes? Phonemes? When I first saw that last year, I was like, what is that? And then I started to go through the curriculums. For example, this. And you could always Google, right? Words that you don't understand from your standards. So phonics. So that's what they need to learn. They need to learn phonics, the sounds that letters make, and by themselves, together. And so that's something else they have to learn, and more things in detail here. They have to be able to blend them. And also here, let's look at, for example, first grade. First grade, they have to read on. They have to have fluency when they're reading. So they have to read with on level, where their grade level text, and they have to read it well. They have to read it like loudly, accurately, in an appropriate rate and expression. Yeah. And then like second grade, for example, they don't have that many. They have less, but it's pretty much the same stuff. Know and apply grade level phonics, and decoding words, distinguish long and short vowels when reading regularly spelled one-syllable words, prefixes, suffixes. They have to recognize and read grade appropriate irregularly spelled words. So yeah, you'll see that the standards pretty much are like repeating themselves, but they are building on themselves. So if they wanted, like in a kindergarten, for your child to just to be able to know like what the sound for the letter P stands for, well, in first grade they're going to want them to know that, and like when it's combined to another one, and then so it gradually just adds to those standards. So that's what we have for reading, and I think that's all the curriculum. Obviously, I'm going to be looking for books that are like this one, that are like level 1 short chapter books for my daughter to be reading. And I wanted to say this about teaching your child to read. They say that girls learn to read quicker than boys. I'm not sure if that's everyone's experience, but it's been a very different experience teaching both of my kids reading. One did start a little later than the other, so I'm sure that contributes. But for the first time I taught, I was able to use this book, and it's a pretty basic book, and you just kind of repeat it until they get it. And then we did all of the Bob books. We would have her read it like maybe 2 or 3 times until the child knew how to read it well and didn't stumble on the same words over and over. And that was it. It was so easy to teach my child reading just with these tools. And I did this other thing where like I would write down letters on water bottle lids, and so I had like this flashcard, and I would like have the 3 circles in the bottle caps size. So for example, if I wanted them to spell a 3-letter word, I would put that 3 circle flashcard, and they would sound off the word. So like cat, right? And they would look for the letter that had the k sound, and then so that was like really visual way to teach them about phonics, hands-on. They loved it, and then I would have them like write it out. So I feel like that also like built on to my daughters being able to learn to read quicker. But when I was trying to do the same approach with my other child, my child was getting really frustrated, and so I've had to pause using Master Books curriculum because they are going at such a quick pace that I realized, even though we went over these things last year, my child, it wasn't like clicking, or he wasn't remembering it. So what we've ended up doing is we just took a pause, and I thought, okay, well, let me just write down the vowels, and we're trying to learn the long and the short vowel sounds. And I was going to buy a chart on Amazon where it shows you like pictures with it. And what we ended up doing is, okay, well, let me just screenshot it and let me have him draw the picture that goes with the sound. So we've been doing that little by little each day. So this one, he drew a boat. Boat, right? So I'll ask him, is this a long vowel or a short vowel? How does it sound like? And then we'll say O as in boat. But the picture is helping him to remember. To remember. I haven't quite figured out why. What is the difference? My other child was able to understand the concept easily. I'm guessing they have different learning styles. So it's a learning process. I feel like sometimes you feel lost as a homeschooler. But then like when you figure out the solution to your problem, then you feel like, okay, I'm back on track, you know? And so it was interesting. I was actually thinking, I'm not going to be buying Explode the Code next year if my child is already going to be learning those things in the other curriculum. So I was actually deciding not to, and then I realized, wait a minute, that's exactly what he needs. He needs to be doing all of these activities that are in these books where you really associate, the phonics sounds. And you do activities visually, it really reinforces it in your mind. And that is what my daughter used. And that also, I'm sure, contributed to her being able to learn to read quickly. And we had paused the ones that come before this are called Get Ready for the Code. This is for when you're already starting 1-2 books. But this one is like preschool, for example, and my daughter did manage to do these in kindergarten. And then so she's doing the other level right now, but we had paused, and so my son is doing this, and I decided this is the curriculum he needs in order to help them with those reading skills. So those are coming in the mail soon, and I'll probably make a video later on when they do to show you inside if you haven't seen the in detail in other videos before. So I haven't gone through the writing yet, but I am trying to make sure that the curriculum I'm buying does include writing activities as good practice. And I almost feel like the writing part is one of the easiest one, that you don't need a curriculum. You can just come up with your own ideas and help them with that writing process. Maybe I'll think differently in another video, but for now that's what I'm thinking. So there's also another section, speaking and listening. I'm going to skip that one, but there's the section of writing. Wait, did I just say writing? Sorry. Actually, language. This section is language. And so here, this was the one that I was like kind of lost. I couldn't find a curriculum. I mean, in master books, it does give you a little bit of that, but I find it like it's going too quickly, and I feel like my child is not really grasping it, both of them, in just by you explaining it and in this lesson, and we move on. So I don't really remember my teachers focusing too much when it came to grammar. I remember it was a little challenging to just wrap my mind around the concepts in college. And maybe it was also because it was like at 6, 7 in the morning, and I'm not a morning person, but I was really looking for a curriculum for my kids, and I found one. The standards, for example, for grade 2, it says that they need to be able to use collective nouns, irregular plural nouns, and they give you examples like feet, children, teeth, mice, fish. So they're helping you out, and I think that they realize, well, maybe a lot of people are not going to understand, like if we just say the grammar terms, right? So they're helping us out here. Form and use the past tense of frequently occurring irregular verbs. So those things I'm going to have to print out as well, because I do want to make sure that we do check those and that they are competent when it comes to those things, knowing those things. So there's a section where it says demonstrate command of the conventions of standard English capitalization, punctuation, and spelling when writing. So, and then it breaks it off for you. Capitalize holidays, product names, and geographic names. So it has all the things that your child is going to have to need to know when it comes to punctuation marks, punctuation, and all of that. So I found this curriculum that was perfect for what I was wanting, something simple to the point with examples. So the way I personally learn best is by looking at something like a rule, seeing an example where I can connect the two things and figure out what it means, the definition means. And so if it's something that I'm not necessarily like an expert on, then I want to make sure the curriculum I choose is based on my learning style, so that I can be able to teach it to my children. And, you know, if need be, I can always find a creative way to help them learn the material in their own learning style. But I feel like grammar, it's a good thing to just keep it simple, right? So this is the book I found, the company Easy Grammar Systems. And I saw in the reviews that you don't necessarily need the teacher's book. So my experience has been that that's true. You don't need the teacher's manual for it. So it's really inexpensive, and you can even tear out the pages if you want to. I decided I'm not going to do that this school year, because I want all the pages to be in one place so that it doesn't make a huge mess that I have to sort through and throw away later on. So it'll just be easier if we keep it as a book. I recorded a short section of my daughter using this book, but before I show you that, I like the book, how simple it is. They're designed for you to do 10-minute lessons. So you have the thing that you're teaching, and then a short definition of it with an example, and yeah, so I go through that in that short clip. I'll show it to you right now. Do you like this book, Sadie?
Yeah, but there's more.
What's more?
Right here.
Okay, so on the bottom, you're going to write the sentence again, all by yourself this time, right? No tracing. And that's an option. It says here, trace or write the words in the sentence. And since Sadie is in first grade, we like to do both. And in the beginning of every page of this book, you have what day you are on. It gives you the rule for capitalization, punctuation. It gives you examples, and then the student has to figure out how to correct it, and I walk through that thought process with my daughter. It builds off of the last lesson and reviews. The thing is that I was planning on just skipping it for first grade this year because we have only 40 days left, 40 school days left for the school year to be done. And so I thought, okay, let me for sure get second grade. And but then I thought, wait, how is my daughter going to understand, right, without that foundation? So we'll be done with more than half of the book by the time school is done. I think I'm definitely going to finish this book during our short summer break, and then so that we'll be ready to just do one page next school year, because I would love to just slow it down next year and not feel like we're trying to get through a lot of curriculums, kind of like this year. So that's the goal, to complete this book as soon as possible before the next school year. And thanks to doing the year-round schedule, homeschooling schedule, we are able to have that break, that long break before the next school year begins, and so we'll be going through any curriculum that needs to be completed. And I got the first grade grammar for my son for next school year as well, which is here. I noticed that my children could use some spelling lessons. They do teach you spelling in the Explode the Code books, but I wanted to go a step further where it goes even more in depth. So I looked up this program, which is similar to the math program we use. I haven't even opened it just yet. It's Spelling UC. And so I was able to buy the package that comes with, we'll open it, and then I bought an extra student workbook for my son. We're going to go through this together next year. So let me go ahead and open it. It's just so important for the children to have a good foundation in spelling, because aside from math, I mean, you're going to be spelling the rest of your life. You're going to be writing emails or whatever, right? And it would be good to have a good vocabulary so you're not constantly going to Google to make sure that you're spelling it correctly. I think that's the problem that a lot of adults have, that we're not taught to read phonetically, and you were just taught by sight reading. So there's a lot of guessing if you were not taught phonetically. So here we have spelling you see, and I think I'm going to wait until we complete the program for me to give you my honest opinion on it at the end of the next school year. But I saw a video on it, and I was convinced by the review. This is Listen and Write Instructor's Handbook, and a tip I heard was that you need to go through this handbook and you really need to make sure that you do the program exactly like how it tells you to do it in order for the program to work. And I'm sure this is going to have a lot of review, easy things that like my kids are already learning in the other books like phonics. But for example, I like how they have like the words here that I'm sure you'll be able to see in your standards, and you'll be like, oh good, here it is, I'm teaching it. And you can see, okay, digraphs, and you have CH and TH, and it tells you a digraph is a combination of two letters that make a single unique sound. So this is going to be helpful for me as the teacher, and I just feel like Master Books wasn't going slow enough in order for like my child to remember those letter combinations like in the future. I mean, I'm sure she does, but I really like to reinforce things so that it's not a guessing game, you know, like when you're reading and you're guessing that you remember that the CH makes ch, right? Or I just really want to instill that confidence that my child remembers CH because we went over it many times. And at one point I was creating my own spelling lessons where I was going through that red book that I showed you. They have a lot of words here, so I was just making a list of like 10 words, and I was giving my daughter like just write it down 10 times, and she was able to memorize it and do a spelling test and all that. But I think I feel like this will be helpful. It'll help me as the teacher. And so I don't really know yet how the program works. I just saw the review and the person did explain it. But when I read it and I do it with my child, do the curriculum, I'll have more information to share with you about it. One of the things I heard in the review about this was that it's a very positive curriculum where you don't necessarily point out all the mistakes that your child makes in trying to spell, but that you reward the things that they did get right. And I guess on the top it has a checklist. Use the correct pencil grip, follow the handwriting guide, use lowercase letters, say the sound as you write. And you have to check that. They have a guide to handwriting, which will be very helpful. And then they have stickers, the sticker pack. My kids do love stickers, so I wonder if I'm going to need to buy more stickers because it's 2 students. I don't know. But if I do, maybe I could just buy different ones. And they're all different. All the 3 pages are different stickers. I think the stickers are like a reward, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we went through all of the English language arts standards. Well, most of them, right, in detail, but maybe you don't want to use the standards, but that's just, I feel like I want my kids to have an even better education than they would in like a public school or a private school. So I want to make sure that we're definitely getting like the basics down here, and then we can build on that as well. So that is what I have so far. I have perhaps a few more things coming. Like I said, reading books and all of that, but I'll probably make more videos in the future to share the other things that we're using for our English language arts. And you know, I feel like this section of the standards is the most complicated. When you look through math or science, all the others, it's like way shorter and it's not broken up as much as this section. So I hope I don't discourage anyone from looking into the standards, because I think that's why I wanted to make this video, because I wanted to make a video where a homeschooling mom is actually talking about the standards. I just hear them mentioned sometimes in videos, but I haven't really seen a mom or a teacher breaking it down. So I hope I was able to help you a little bit. Yeah, that's all I have. So thank you so much for watching. If you watched all the way through this long video, please let me know in the comments. Thanks. Bye.